Foolish rulers crave validation more than truth.
They want to hear they're great. Have you ever looked around and thought, how do those people end up in charge? You know, the ones who seem, well, maybe least qualified, sometimes even a bit foolish.
While the really wise, thoughtful folks often stay in the background.
Exactly. And it's not just now, right? This seems like a pattern throughout history.
It really does.
So today, we're diving deep into this whole phenomenon. We're looking at Niccolò Machiavelli, the Prince, discourses on Livy kind of through the lens of the YouTube channel Philanautica.
Yeah, they do a great job exploring his, let's say, brutally honest take on power.
Brutally honest is right. He really digs into why politics sometimes seems to reward manipulation more than actual wisdom.
And our mission today really is to unpack that. How do these figures actually rise? Why do people, the public, often get behind them?
And what does it tell us about politics, about society, maybe even about ourselves?
Definitely. So you should be ready to have some assumptions challenged. Machiavelli, he doesn't pull any punches.
Okay, so where do we start? Machiavelli seems to hit hard right away with this idea about deception.
He does. He wrote something like, men are so simple, so obedient to present necessities, that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived.
Wow. So it's not just the cunning leader, it's also about people being willing participants.
That's the unsettling core of it, yeah. His view of human nature is, well, pretty grim.
Grim how?
He argues people are driven by really immediate needs, urgent stuff, they have short attention spans, and frankly, they're easily swayed if something looks like it's in their self-interest. Especially in tough times, crisis or uncertainty, that makes people really vulnerable to manipulation, even to leaders who might seem kind of foolish otherwise.
So instead of carefully thinking about the truth or the long run,
Yeah.
people just grab onto whatever story feels good right now, whatever meets that immediate need.
Pretty much. If a lie serves what they think are their interests, they'll often accept it.
So a politician doesn't actually need to be wise, just persuasive.
Persuasive, exactly. Charisma can trump competence in this model. And this gets even stronger in crowds. Nietzsche said something about insanity being rare in individuals, but the rule in groups.
Yeah, I remember that quote.
Well, that's kind of what happens. Rational thought gets drowned out by slogans, symbols, shared feelings, shared delusions sometimes.
So someone might question a lie if they were alone.
Right. But in a crowd, swept up in the moment, they're much more likely to just cheer it on.
Okay, so this starts to paint a picture of how these, let's call them foolish leaders, can actually succeed. It's not despite their flaws.
Oh, it's because they intuitively know how to exploit these blind spots.
Yeah.
They talk to the pain points, make big promises, maybe put on a good show.
Theatrics.
Yeah, theatrics. And people get drawn in. It's almost like Machiavelli isn't blaming the deceiver as much as he's blaming, us, the deceived.
That's heavy. But okay, it's not only about deception, right? You mentioned another factor earlier. Something about boldness, luck.
Yes. Fortune. Machiavelli has this really provocative metaphor for it.
Oh, yeah.
He says, fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it is necessary to beat and ill-use her.
Whoa. Okay, that's intense. What does he mean by that, practically speaking?
He means fortune, luck, destiny, whatever you want to call it, isn't some gentle force guiding you. It's wild, unpredictable.
Right.
And to win its favor, you can't be timid. You have to be bold, aggressive, maybe even a bit reckless.
So luck favors the bold, basically, not the careful planner.
That's his argument. The cautious person waits, analyzes, maybe misses the window. The brash one, the upstart, just jumps in and seizes the first chance they see. He literally says it's better to be adventurous than cautious.
Can you give an example? Like, how does that play out?
Think of a general who pulls off a risky maneuver that nobody expected, or a politician who just dives into a chaotic situation and somehow comes out on top while everyone else is hesitating.
Or maybe even like a flashy entrepreneur who takes a huge gamble.
Exactly. Betting big, stumbling into influence. It's about acting decisively, even if it seems reckless.
Okay, so this helps explain how some seemingly, foolish people get ahead. They just charge in where wiser heads might pause and think.
Yeah, their boldness creates momentum.
Yeah.
And the public. They often don't see the risk involved or the lack of deep thought. They just see action, maybe success, and they cheer.
Mistaking the noise for strength.
Or daring for genius. Yeah. But of course, Machiavelli adds a warning.
Oh.
Fortune is fickle. She gives, but she can take away just as fast. So the fool who climbs using pure bravado might have a very quick fall when luck turns.
Right. It's not a stable foundation.
Not at all. It reminds me a bit of Nietzsche's amor fati idea, though. Loving your fate, embracing whatever chaos or chance throws at you.
Leaping high, grabbing for the stars.
Even if it's just for a little while.
Okay, so we've got deception, exploiting human nature, and sheer boldness fueled by luck. What else is in Machiavelli's playbook for rising leaders, especially those who might not be the wisest?
Appearance. How you seem is often way more important than who you are.
The image.
Exactly, puts it so bluntly. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are.
So in politics, perception beats reality.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The public just needs to buy the version of you they see. They don't need the messy truth.
So if you're clever, even if you're maybe not that competent, you can rise just by crafting the right image.
That's the strategy. Machiavelli actually advises rulers to be a great pretender and dissembler.
Meaning?
Hide your real motives, perform virtue. Look merciful, honest, faithful, religious, all those good qualities.
This is look like it. You don't actually have to be it.
According to him, no. Behind the scenes, you can be ruthless, deceitful, whatever the situation demands, as long as the public never sees that side.
And he thinks people won't see through it.
He's pretty cynical about that. He says, in the world, there are only the vulgar. Meaning, basically, most people won't bother to dig deeper. They'll just accept the performance.
Wow. That's quite a view of the public.
Well, think about history. Caesar Borgia, who Machiavelli admired in some ways, projected this image of strength and mercy while, secretly wiping out his enemies.
Right.
Or Roman emperors acting all pious while running the empire into the ground. And you see echoes today, right? Politicians talking transparency while hiding things, CEOs talking innovation while just rebranding old stuff.
Yeah, that sounds unfortunately familiar.
Machiavelli knew truth could be risky, but illusion. Illusion is powerful. He even wrote something like, if a prince wins and holds his state, the means he used will always be judged as honorable.
So results justify the means, as long as the appearance is maintained.
If it looks good from the outside, people won't ask too many questions about how you got there. Appearance really can trump substance.
Okay, this is a potent mix. Deception, boldness, image control. But even leaders using these tactics must make mistakes, right? Especially if they're not genuinely wise. And what about the tools they use?
Absolutely. One huge trap Machiavelli points out is flattery.
Flattery? How so?
He says, a prince who is not wise himself will never take good advice. Why? Because foolish rulers crave validation more than truth.
They want to hear they're great.
Exactly. So their inner circles fill up with sycophants, with yes men, people who just tell them what they want to hear, not what they need to hear.
And that creates an echo chamber.
A dangerous one. Because if you shut down dissent, if you only listen to praise, you lose touch with reality. Problems fester, mistakes get ignored, delusions grow.
So the leader becomes a victim of their own need for validation.
Precisely. A truly wise leader, Machiavelli implies, actually makes space for uncomfortable truths. They make it safe for people to be honest. The foolish leader does the opposite.
Okay, so that's a vulnerability. What about the weapons they wield? You mentioned emotional manipulation earlier.
Right. Fear is a big one. Machiavelli knew love and affection are unreliable. Easy come, easy go, especially when things get tough.
But fear?
Fear, used carefully, provides a more stable form of control. That's why he made that famous, often chilling statement. It is much safer to be feared than loved.
And foolish leaders grasp this instinctively.
It seems so. They might try to be likable, sure, when it works for them. But if popularity fades, they know how to tighten the screws.
Ow.
By stirring up panic, maybe painting critics as enemies of the people, creating just enough anxiety to keep everyone in line. It's often a desperate move, not a calculated, intelligent strategy, but it can work.
And this ties into psychology too, doesn't it? Something about incompetence and confidence.
Ah, yes, the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's highly relevant here.
Explain that again briefly.
It's a cognitive bias, where people with low ability in a certain area tend to significantly overestimate their own competence. Basically, the less you know, the more confident you might feel.
Because they don't know enough to know what they don't know.
Exactly. And that overconfidence makes them seem decisive. They take big risks, they speak with absolute certainty, they act without hesitation.
All the things that might appeal to a public that's feeling scared or frustrated.
Precisely. Meanwhile, the genuinely wise person, who is aware of the complexities and the risks.
They might seem hesitant, slower.
Right, not because they're weak, but because they actually understand the situation better. But the fool, blinded by confidence, just charges ahead, and people can mistake that for strength.
So it's like a perfect storm sometimes.
It really can be. You get the manipulation, the echo chamber of flattery, this misplaced Dunning-Kruger confidence. It all comes together.
And the leader might build their power on fear because, as Machiavelli noted, it seems more stable, at least.
At least for a time. It's not noble. It's certainly not virtuous in the traditional sense. But Machiavelli's point was brutally pragmatic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works.
So wrapping this up, we've seen Machiavelli lay out this almost uncomfortable roadmap for how leaders who might seem foolish can gain power.
Yeah, exploiting our own nature, our willingness to be deceived.
Plus that boldness, grabbing fortune, mastering the look of things.
And then using fear and being surrounded by yes men, often fueled by that Dunning-Kruger effect. It's quite the cocktail.
It really is. But understanding these dynamics, thanks to Machiavelli, it gives you a different lens, doesn't it, for looking at leaders, at how the public reacts.
Absolutely. It forces you to think more critically, to look past the surface performance, to question your own reactions even.
Yeah. So here's a final thought to leave you with, drawing from all this. Machiavelli pointed out that building on fear might make a ruler steadier for a time, and that fortune is powerful, but also, fickle.
Right. Nothing built on those foundations lasts forever.
So thinking about that, what do you suppose is the ultimate cost, not just for the leader, but for the whole society, when that illusion of strength, that loud confidence, that reliance on fear, finally crashes into the hard, complex reality that's been ignored for so long? What's the real price paid then?